Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me this evening on tonight's free webinar on journeying into the self. I just want to check in that everyone who is watching live can hear me at the moment. So on the right of the screen there is a chat box. If you want to write up on there that you can hear me, that would be great. Throughout this evening's webinar, if you have any questions, if you want to share anything and interact during the course of it, please do feel free to do this in the chat box so that we can interact as we go. Wonderful, that's great. So getting some yeses that people can hear me. Wonderful. So as I said, thank you so much for joining me this evening. We're going to start off and I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do, and then we're going to get into the subject of really going into ourselves. If you can get a piece of paper and a pen, that would be great, because we're going to be doing a bit of writing as well and tuning in and getting into this stuff in a deeper way. If you can turn your phone off, that's great. If you can turn Facebook off, that's even better, and all those other things that will ping up to distract. As it'd be really good to focus and on the spring equinox, which is what it is tonight, a time of new beginnings and fresh awakenings, to really be able to get into this together as a fresh beginning, so we can start and really visualize what we want and move forward in a positive way. So if you want to take a second to get a pen and paper, and then we will begin. As I said, please do feel free to put stuff up in the chat box and share as we go. That way we can really interact and get the most out of this session together. And for anyone watching it not live, then you please feel free to ask me any questions on my Facebook page, which is julietteskitchen.tv, if you are watching this after the event. So, I am Juliette Bryant, and I'm a mother of two and a third on the way. And I really got into nutrition when I was 8 years old by default, because my mother had multiple sclerosis. And it was at this point when she had multiple sclerosis that our life really changed. And she took the conventional route of medication, but she also wanted to look at alternatives. So she did a lot of work looking at nutrition, healing, lots of other things, removal of mercury from the body. And she really focused our lives on supporting her health, but also supporting our health, which was a really beneficial thing for everyone. At the time, I didn't particularly like it. She cut out processed foods. We had lots of mackerel. And we didn't eat things like fish fingers and baked beans and chips like other people did. So I did enjoy going over to friends' houses, being able to eat kind of normal food. As a teenager, I rebelled, as you do, and I lived on a lot of junk food. And as I got older, I was working as a healer. And I started to see the correlation between my energy levels and the energy I was able to transmit to other people and what I was consuming. And this gradually became clearer and clearer to me, that what I put into my body affected my energy. Now, it's not rocket science when you think about it, because actually that makes sense, doesn't it? What we put in is going to affect us. We are energetic beings as well as physical beings. So whatever is going in can either block us up energetically and physically, or it can help us bring more in and things flow. So these little alarm bells and thoughts started to come in. It wasn't until I got pregnant with my first child that I then started to go, actually, hang on, there's more to this. And now I'm responsible for another being. I need to make sure that I'm really looking after myself. so that I am giving my child the best start possible. And I'm supporting myself through the process as well. So this was really the beginning of the second phase of my journey, kind of my personal journey, as opposed to my mother's journey and being a bypasser, you know, in the journey. So it was at this point that I really started to look into how food affects us physically, emotionally, mentally. And this is when I started to do my training as a nutritionist. Since then, this was 13 odd years ago, I've done a lot more training and I'm constantly growing and learning. I'm always looking at things and I'm testing them on myself. Because ultimately, you have to live what you're saying. And I do. I live what I try to show people. So I've been working as a nutritionist now for 6 years, and my mission really is to empower people, to give people tools so that they can really start to take charge of their life. But it wasn't until very recently that I had a bit of an epiphany. We go to the doctor quite often, and in general, not myself, but we go to the doctors and we hand over our problems and we say, this is what's going on, sort it out for me. Or we go to a masseuse and say, this is my problem, sort it out. Or we go to a nutritionist and say, this is my problem, sort it out. So there's a pattern occurring here. We go to someone else, we hand over our problem, and we say, here you go, sort it out for me. Now, what does this say to you in your mind? Does this ring any bells? Does this say anything to you when I say this? What do you think about that? To me, when we go to someone and we hand over our problems, we are not taking responsibility for ourselves. We are not taking ownership for what is going on, what we have created, where we're at this point in time. Because every action in our lives has brought us to where we are in this moment, action or non-action. So we have a physical body that needs things to run. It needs nutrients, it needs certain nutrients, just like a car does. And if we don't put in those certain nutrients, it will not run smoothly. So we need to be aware that if we haven't put in certain nutrients, this vehicle will not run smoothly. It may take a bit of time to get to that point, but eventually we will start to see signs of wear and tear. So what really came to me recently was that in my work as a nutritionist, working with people, I don't want people to hand their problems over to me for me to sort out. Yes, I want to be a guide and help steer people in the right directions, but ultimately it's about tuning into yourself and finding out what the response is in you. Now, we can't just do that all willy-nilly. We've forgotten how to listen to ourselves, a lot of us. So it's about recalibrating, retuning in so that we can actually get to that point where we can go, hang on, what is my body saying? What do I actually want? What is it that my body's asking for? What is this symptom? Philip Day put it a great way the other day. He said, symptoms are not something to fear. They're simply emails from your body alerting you to something. And I thought that was a really clever way of putting it. So things that show up in our body, we don't have to go, oh my God, what is that? We go, okay, my body is giving me a cue. It is highlighting that something is out of balance. And that's where we need to look deeper. And yes, sometimes we need to get guidance and say, okay, I'm not really sure how to tackle this myself, but with guidance, I can tune in as well and find out exactly what's going on. Does that make sense to everyone so far? So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a little visualization, with getting clear. Because this is the most important thing. We need to get clear about what it is that we want, what we are trying to create. What is it we actually want from this physical body? What are we prepared to put in as well? You know, people quite often say, oh yeah, I want to be really healthy. Well, do you really want to be healthy? And when it comes down to it, are you going to do the steps needed to get to that point? Because sometimes it requires change. In fact, it always requires change. But that change doesn't have to be scary, and it doesn't have to be huge, giant steps. It can be little baby steps leading up to a big change. So we're going to start with a little visualization to really tune us in, to get us connected to what's actually going on, to what we really want. So if you can find a comfortable seat, or you can lay down if you want, have your pen and paper at the ready, because we will be doing some writing in a moment. And I want you to just focus for a moment on your breath. Taking a deep breath in and breathing out. Feeling your whole body relaxing as you connect to your breath. Feeling any tension or stress from your day gently easing away. And if you do notice any areas of tension, just allow your breath to move to those points. Become aware that as you relax, as you let go, your breath becomes deeper and your breath becomes stiller. The breath has an amazing ability to connect us with ourselves, to connect us at a deep level with our soul. I want you to take a moment now to think about your life. Think about your health, your physical body. And I'd like you to visualize the you that you would really like. How do you want to feel? What is the you that you feel is your highest you? The you that you're aiming for, that you're resonating for with every cell. What is that vision of yourself? And I want you to feel it, to think it, to visualize it in front of you, clearly as a bell, as if that is you in this moment now. Because it is. The future you is the present you. It's all the same. Your future image of you is where you are now. There's just a few steps you need to take to get there, to remember that space. And when you've got that vision really clearly, I want you to take a few minutes to write it down. What is that vision that you hold for yourself? If you want to share this as well, then please feel free to. What is the vision that you really hold for yourself? Where you want to be? And when we think about this vision, we want to hold it in positive words, not in negative terms. So we don't want to be thinking about the things we're trying to let go of. We just want to be visualizing the radiant health, the balanced energy, whatever it may be, just the positive terms. So once you've written this down, this vision of you, as I said, if you want to share it, please feel free to. We're going to go back to focusing with our eyes closed in a moment. And we're now going to take some time just to think about our current situation. What are your challenges in this moment? What are the things blocking you from this future self, from this vision of yourself? What is your current challenge blocking you from this future self? So I'd like you to visualize those things that are stopping you from being this radiant being that you are. And I'd like you to feel into your body and feel where these things reside. Where are they coming from? Where are the roots of these things? And I want you, as these things start to come to you, to start to write these down. What are the challenges blocking you at this moment from achieving, from being this future self that you want, this vision, this perfect vision of who you really are? What is blocking you from that at the moment? And again, if anyone wants to share these, please feel free to, because we can discuss how to overcome them in a few minutes. What are your current challenges, pains, blocks from achieving your future vision of yourself? Until we truly identify and connect with where we actually want to go and what's stopping us from getting there, we can't make changes. Quite often we think, I want this, I want this, I want this, but we don't actually connect in with, well, first of all, if I had these things, how would I feel? How would it make me feel if I had great energy? What would I do with that energy? Because this is a really important thing to tune into. Well, what would I do if I had abundant energy? If my health was great, what are the things that I could achieve? You know, to really connect in and visualize with these things and the motivation behind it. And then moving through that, well, what is actually stopping me from being that? Because unless we identify what's stopping us in this moment, how can we change it? And this is the step that we quite often forget about, the actual identification. So once we've found those challenges, it's quite easy to set out realistic steps to overcome them. And that's something we're going to work on in a second. As I said, please do feel free to set up your future vision and your current challenges so we can discuss them. So I'm going to go through an example with you so you can see the process, the step-by-step process. So first of all, the intention, future vision. An example, I want to eat a whole food diet full of live foods that are high vibration, that really help me to radiate to my greatest extent that I can. So this is a future vision. This is an example future vision. Okay, so what is stopping that example from being in reality? Well, I'm ruled by cravings. Let's say this is an example. I get tired and I can't be bothered. I feel guilty and then I give in. So these are a few potential challenges. Peer pressure, another one. So we've got our future vision, whole food, plant-based diet, high vibration foods. Maybe 80% raw, let's say, let's add that in there. So the things stopping, cravings. Okay, so let's take that one first, cravings. Okay, anyone else suffer from cravings, blocking you? Cravings throw you off. You've got this great idea. This is what I want. I'm going to do this. And then you get this little craving, this voice. Feed me, feed me. It's usually that little sugar voice. Anyone get that? I need something sweet. So first of all, if you do have this that comes up, then what you need to do is first of all address why the craving's coming up. And this is a really key thing. So cravings, especially for sugar, come from an imbalance in gut bacteria. Now, something really fascinating is there is more bacteria in you than there are cells. Okay? More bacteria in you than there are cells. So we need to keep our bacteria balanced. This is key. So we really need to address our gut. This is something that I work on a lot. And it's a really big subject, but I will touch on it briefly. We need to keep an 80-20 balance of good bacteria versus bad bacteria. So we need to make sure we're feeding the good bacteria with probiotics, sauerkraut, water kefir, kombucha, miso, kimchi, things like this, fermented foods. We need to be wiping out those bad bacteria. Basil, garlic, tulsi, grapefruit seed extract. All of these wipe out bad bacteria. I'm just simplifying this and making it short, this bit, because it's quite a big subject. But it's really important, and I do a lot of work. I cover this in a lot of my online courses, the gut, because it is fundamental that we actually address this. Because when we start to address the gut bacteria, we start to address parasites, potential parasites, then what we do is we're able to overcome this craving. And if we become aware that that voice in our head is generally not us, okay? That voice saying, feed me sugar, is either a parasite or bacterial imbalance. We can start to pull back that control and go, hang on, I don't think that's me. Do I want to feed those little critters or not? And then we have that choice. Also, when we have that craving come up, we can go, hang on, is it because I'm lacking in energy? Is it because my body needs more fuel? This is the other thing. We can start to analyze, well, why am I getting this craving? If you're taking the bacterial stuff, it might be that actually your body needs more fuel. So how can we get other sugars in? We don't need to have refined sugars. How can we get other sugars? Because our body does need sugars to give us energy. Carbohydrates equal energy. So if we are feeling a little flat, maybe we do need a boost of energy. Generally, fats work better. Okay? Feed your body good raw fats. This will make you full for longer and it will stop the sugar cravings. So if you don't like fermented foods, someone's just said they don't like fermented foods, you can try taking probiotic pills. A good one is Udo's 8-strain probiotic or BioCult. And we can have fruits, exactly, for natural sugars. So it's about the source of what you turn to in that moment. So what I find a really useful thing to do is to get a chart and say, okay, these are my problem areas. Okay, these are my blocks. These are the things I stumble on. Have that in one column. In the next column, what are the solutions? So that when those things come up, I have a solution that's up there and I can go, oh yeah, I just do this now instead. In the world, in nature, in the human law, if we create a void, if we remove something and we don't put something back, nature will fill it. It's like if you dig a plant up and you don't do anything, nature's going to fill that. It's going to grow weeds up. Something's going to come up in its place. So if you don't actually turn to, okay, when I have something come up, I'm going to replace it with X, Y, or Z. And you have to find what's right for you. Okay, I'm giving you some solutions, but you have to tune into what is the right one for you. That's the whole point of this. It's about learning to listen to your body, to tune into what you need. Okay? So it's about going deeper and finding. Have you written down those challenges and what you think potential solutions would be? If you want to share, that would be great. So another one that we could look at would be you get tired. Okay, finding time to prepare healthy food. That's a really good one because we do struggle sometimes, don't we? We get tired, we come home and we think, what am I going to do? What am I going to make? And this happens to a lot of us. We get caught up. So you have some quick, easy things you can make. For example, I've got a great raw soup recipe. 2 minutes to make. If you are prepared, this is the key. If we can create solutions, so for example, if you do get a sweet craving, what about having some raw chocolate brownies in your freezer, ready-made? What about having stuff that you can make a quick smoothie with? If you've got a few simple recipes ready that you can turn to in those moments, you can overcome these challenges. Setting out clear steps. And a lot of people, that's a great question. Someone said, I'd love to eat more raw food, but I often feel I haven't got the time or the resources to do it. Raw food is actually really quick and really simple if you know what to do. It's the same with anything, isn't it? If we know what to do, we can do it. If we don't, how are we going to make those changes? So I'll post it up on my Facebook page today. My raw soup recipe, one of them. It's hot, it's delicious, it's quick, and it's a great thing when you don't have time and you don't have energy. Okay? So if you can have a few of these solutions in my book, Superfoods and How to Use Them, I have a lot of these quick, easy solutions in there so that you've got things you can turn to. I always have in my freezer some raw desserts, because inevitably there are those times when we do need a quick pick-me-up. We do want a little bit of chocolate. And if you're prepared, if you have a good solution in place, you're not going to turn to the negative extreme. Does that make sense to everyone? So if we can actually come up with a few easy things. So we've got raw soup for one. Courgette noodles, really easy to do with a nice nut sauce. Very simple, very quick. And this is another one you can do in about 2 seconds flat. So if we can come up with these solutions, then we can make positive changes. Someone's saying another challenge is to lose weight and improve the diet at the same time. What I find is the best thing is not to focus on losing weight. Because when you focus on losing weight, you veer away from the actual issue, which is improving health. When you improve your health and your lifestyle and your diet, then what happens is you naturally achieve your optimum weight. Someone's just said, I have pretty much everything I need to make raw foods, but it's being organized enough to take the time to make them. I struggle most with making dinners and snacks and just tend to go to the supermarket and buy the same food each week. I think it's a lack of confidence in cooking. That's a really good point. That's why I love running workshops with people, to show people how simple it is to make things. Because when you've seen it, it's like, oh my God, look how easy that was. And it tastes really good. We do get caught up in these ruts, all of us, that we have to take time to get out of. And it doesn't take a lot of time. And what I'd say is each week, make one change. Try one new thing. Because if you do that each week, before you know it, you've walked a long way by making one change. And if it doesn't go well, who cares? Try it out. So this week, your challenge is to make a raw soup. Okay? Really easy to do. Really easy to do. I will send you all the recipe on my mailing list of how to make the raw soup. It is also my superfoods book, and I will put it on my Facebook page. So there'll be no excuse. And this raw soup recipe is super easy and delicious. Okay? So if you can bring in that, you will have one new resource in your toolkit this week. The second thing you can bring in is, okay, if you're tired and you can't be bothered, have a chart up. I'm tired and I can't be bothered. I've got in from work and it's like, oh God, I've got to make something now. Oof. Anyone ever feel like that? Because I do. I think, oh, dinner time. What am I going to do? So the first thing I do is I stop. Okay? And I breathe. And I let go. I let go of the day. I release it all. Because when we start to change our vibration, what happens is we're shifting. So I've come in, can't be bothered. Ooh. Okay? Low energy, flat. When you're in this low vibration, what are you going to want to feed your body? Like attracts like. Vibrationally, you're going to want to attract the same thing. Low vibration food to maintain this low vibration. You come in and you go, okay, I'm hungry, I'm tired. What am I going to do? I'm going to stop. I'm going to sit up straight, shoulders back. Breathe and release. Breathe and release. And as you start taking these breaths, your shoulders start to drop, stress starts to go, and you start to go, actually, I'm feeling a bit better. I'm feeling a bit more recharged. The next thing you do, you get a drink of water. And you have a good big drink. Why are you doing this? Because quite often we are dehydrated, chronically dehydrated. And that hunger we're feeling is not necessarily hunger. That tiredness is not necessarily tiredness. That brain fog, not necessarily brain fog. It's dehydration. So we take that time to drink, to breathe. We are realigning our vibration. We are raising our vibration out of this low space. And then what are we going to attract into us at that moment? What is going to want to come in? A higher vibration. And what is that higher vibration going to be represented by? The food choices we make. Does this make sense? So then in that next moment, you can think, okay, what is it that I can do quickly and easily? Okay, I've drank my water. I've breathed. Now, I am still quite hungry. So I want something quick. Okay, I'm going to make a raw soup to start with. We whiz up the ingredients. We sit down. We connect with our food and we're grateful for our food. And we start to consume that. If we're still hungry after that, we can make something else. Or instead of making raw soup, we can think, I'm going to quickly spiralize some courgettes. Takes 2 minutes. And in my whizzer, I'm going to stick some cashew nuts in, some garlic, some water, a little bit of salt, and maybe some fresh basil or some fresh herbs. Whiz that up, pour that over the courgette noodles. I've got a sauce. Maybe put a few olives and sun-dried tomatoes in. Done. I'm going to sit and eat that now. Both of which are delicious, nutritious, simple, quick, and easy solutions. I'm not saying you have to live on raw soup and courgette noodles. I'm just showing you an example. It's finding those things that can be quick and easy so you have something to turn to, your go-to. But you have to take a few minutes to prepare, well, what are my go-to recipes going to be for this week? What is this going to be? You need to think. You can do it in bed. I like thinking about food when I'm in bed. I lay in bed and think, what would I like to have? Sometimes I get cookbooks in bed and I look at them and I think, oh, that looks nice. Oh, that looks nice. And I start to dream of ideas. And you can jot things down. Okay, when I am not able to think, when I'm tired, what is it I could eat? What are my solutions? And write them out for the week. Have maybe 3 or 4 different ideas for what you could turn to. Preparation is the key. And preparation doesn't have to take a long time. It's just spending that time to actually think about it. Now, what we have to think about is that if we don't start putting this first, this physical being first, if we don't start feeding this vessel and looking after us, no one else is going to. Okay? We are the only ones who can look after ourselves. So if we do not start spending that time, 5 minutes is all it will take, then what we are saying to ourselves is we're sending a message saying, you're not worth it. You're not worth 5 minutes to prepare. So actually, you then have to think, how much do I actually want that future vision? If I'm not prepared to invest 5 minutes to plan for it. Now, I know what I'm saying can sound a bit harsh, and I'm not meaning to, but we have to be a bit strong with ourselves because we get caught up in these dramas, we get caught up in these words, we get caught up in, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. Well, you can. Someone's just posed a very good question. Another thing they get confused about is if I'm getting enough of the right nutrients in my diet and am I absorbing them? Really good question. The absorption comes back to the gut, and the gut is really a prime area to focus on. When I'm doing my next course, Journey into the Self, which is a really in-depth course, which I'll be talking more about later, we will have a whole section on the gut. In Transformative Health, which is another course I've already done, there is a section on the gut there too. It's something that I work a lot on with people individually and on my courses because it is of prime importance. If we start to look at the bacterial balance, like I touched on briefly, this is a really good starting point to making sure we are starting to absorb those nutrients. But the key is, and it's quite a simple key, eat a rainbow of foods. If you eat a rainbow of foods and you have a minimum of 80% plant-based diet, you are on the right tracks to getting the right nutrients. There are some key nutrients that we all need that we might not, most likely are not getting from our diet. If you're a vegan, you need to be taking B12. End of subject. If you are a vegan or vegetarian, actually, if you're anyone, you need to make sure you're getting enough essential fats. And I would recommend taking essential fats supplements. Marine phytoplankton and blue-green algae are amazing at this. I would also recommend that you take vitamin D. We don't live in a country where we get enough sunlight. And if we are in the sun long enough, we probably wash it off with soap. So taking a good vitamin D3 supplement is something I recommend. I'm not a massive fan of supplements. I prefer getting things from food and nature where possible. But there are certain things that I think we need to be aware of. Drinking enough water is another one that is so, so key. Clean water at that. But if you're doing those things and you're eating a rainbow of foods, this is the key. Because if you eat a rainbow, you're getting this cross-section of nutrients, of phytonutrients, which will cover all of the boards. And don't worry too much about protein. There's a whole misconception about protein. Protein is made up of amino acids. Guess what? Amino acids are in all plant foods. So you don't need to worry about eating meat and getting complete proteins. Eat a rainbow of foods. You will be getting enough protein. No one has really died of too little protein, but many people have died of too much protein. It causes a lot of problems. So if you're eating things like marine phytoplankton, spirulina, things like this, you are getting high dose of protein in a really easily absorbable form. What I'd recommend is getting D3 with K2. Someone's just asked what recommendation I have. Credence.org do some good supplements. So have a look at them. And high dose vitamin D. Don't be scared of certain supplements. People don't die of vitamin overdoses. They die of pharmaceutical overdoses, but not vitamins. Obviously, always consult with a healthcare practitioner if you're on medication or something else is going on, to make sure there's no contraindications with these things. But generally, vitamin D, vitamin C, essential fats, B12 don't have contraindications with medications. But it's about really tuning in to yourself and being prepared. So what I want to ask you now is, are you prepared to spend time on yourself? Are you prepared to spend time on creating that future vision of yourself? Someone's just said, what about fasting and health? Doing intermittent fasts are very good for the body. And we can do this every day if we want. Eating between certain hours. Obviously, depends on your individual circumstance as to what's going on. So it's again good to tune in with someone who is aware of these things to start with. If we can start to find out what it is we're after, where we want to go with our health, then we need to start listening to our gut, listening to that inner voice, because this is really important. I have answers for things. Other people have answers. The internet has thousands of answers, but ultimately they're not all right for you. So it's about sitting with yourself and actually feeling, asking your body. Ask your body what it wants. Ask it what it needs and listen to it. So we're going to try for a minute now. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to ask your body, what is the first thing that you need to do to help create the future vision of yourself? What is the first thing that you need to do, the first step you need to do to creating this future vision of yourself? If anyone wants to share, please feel free to. What is your first step that you need to take? And what I recommend you do is get a little journal. And on the first page of your journal, write down what your vision is for yourself. What is this future vision you hold? And write down what you think your current challenges are blocking you from that. And then write down what you think the solutions are. Tune into your body for that. And ask, go through and say, okay, first challenge. I'm ruled by my cravings. What's the solution that your body gives you? I need to get some probiotics. Great. Good first step. You don't have to take on the whole list straight away. You can do one thing at a time. Get that under your belt. Okay, next challenge. What is it? And start listening to yourself. I have a course coming up on the 18th of April. And it's called Journey into the Self. And it's a 10-week course. And on this course, we're going to be looking at techniques to really tune into your body on a very deep level and discovering the best foods and health strategies for you, how you can really start to empower your health and take it to that deeper level. We're going to be looking at how you can learn to really visualize optimum health and to see those blocks that are inside you. What is blocking me from this? And to see if those blocks are physical, energetic, and how we can move to clear them. We're going to be looking at tools for transformation. We're going to be looking at transforming our gut so that our gut becomes a really healthy garden that is flourishing and blooming. We're going to be looking at the basic principles of well-being and core techniques for ultimate health. And what's really exciting is that the last day of it will be on June 20th, which is the summer solstice, and it will be live in Glastonbury, where there's going to be a talk which will be recorded for anyone who can't actually make it in person. There'll be a demo, some demos. There'll be a big feast which I will make for everyone, and then there will be a solstice meditation on the tour. It will be recorded if you can't make it live, but it is all part of it as well. So it will be quite a culmination of a 10-week powerful course that we'll all be doing together. And until the end of this month, till the 31st, I'm offering it to you guys for £297 as opposed to £597. So you'll get me every week for a live broadcast where you'll get to ask questions, interact. You will get handouts, you'll get recipes, you'll get one-to-one support, and it will be a really lovely thing. So if you are interested, it's £297 until the end of March. I am happy to do installments for anyone who needs that. So do let me know if you would like more information on that. It's going to be a really amazing course. I'm really excited about it. So you guys have all been wonderful, and the feedback you've all been giving me is great on the things that you need to do. Really powerful things. Listen to yourself. You know what is best. You really do. We all do. You know, we are divine beings, and we have, our bodies are the most remarkable things. And we need to listen to them more and tune in and get back to that inner wisdom. And I'm here to help you guys in any way that I can to get back to that point. The way I work is I do food intolerance testing through muscles. So through finding out what is right for you. And through this course that we're going to be doing, I'll be teaching you how to test yourself on these things so that you can do it. I'll be putting myself out of work and empowering you to do what I do on yourself, so that you can really start understanding what is motivating you and what is going on at a deeper level within your body. Throughout the course, obviously, I will be giving guidance, so it's a really useful thing. If anyone does have any questions about the course, please do let me know. And thank you very much for joining me tonight and dealing with my little choking moment in the middle. Yeah, please do follow me on Facebook, julietteskitchen.tv, sign up to my newsletter, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all those joyful things if you want to know more about what I do. And thank you again for being with me. My website, for those of you who don't know, is www.julietteskitchen.tv. And I look forward to hearing more about your journey. Please do share any insights that came from this evening with me on the Facebook page. I really enjoy hearing from you all. So thank you and good night.